Hello everybody, welcome to this special interview. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Jean-Louis Larmor, which is CEO of Luxell, which is a partner of StarNavigationSystem. I was talking to Mr. Larmor earlier, and actually what he was telling me was really exciting about StarNavigationSystem, because that's a company that is reaching an inflection point and the future looks bright. So I'll let Mr. Larmor talk to us more about that. So welcome, Mr. Larmor, aboard.
Hello.
Excellent. So first of all, tell us, how did the StarNavigation story system started?
Well, it started with a brilliant idea, in fact, for their co-founders a couple of years ago, kind of a sliced bread type of idea. And on board the aircraft or the helicopter, all the data exists in order to do the maintenance and the reporting. However, these data are kept inside the aircraft and are only downloaded after the flight to personal crew on the ground for further analysis later on. Now, how can we save time and then save money? By downloading directly this information to the ground crew, to the ground operators, in order to prepare for the maintenance actions. Everything was existing, the data on board, the communication channels, the IT environment on the ground. It was a matter of linking all these types of experiments and experiences together in order to develop a complete system. And that was the idea of STAR.
Okay, excellent. And so for how many years have you guys been?
We have been, as far as my company has been engaged with Star Navigation for the past 4 years, but their idea has been really maturing for the past 7 years, which is a normal cycle in aerospace because it's a long time. This is a very conservative industry. You don't put on board the aircraft anything brand new and shiny. You have to make sure that you don't crash an aircraft by bringing some new system on board, and specifically communication systems. So it's all fully regulated, and you have to go through all the various barriers of regulation, test, proof of concept, validation, and at the end of the day, you have to convince the operators that they will earn money by doing what you want to do.
Excellent. You know, I was looking at the Star Navigation website, and I had some problem differing your technology from the black box. Can you explain and show us what's the difference, or are they complement each other?
They do at the end of the day. What we refer to as black box is really a safety device or a security device, which unfortunately when there is a big problem, you have to recover what is called the black box, which by the way is painted orange and not black, and then analysis a couple of tens of parameters which have been sampled by that box automatically in order to determine what went wrong. So a posteriori, in fact, after the facts. This system really downloads real-time maintenance and operational data, hundreds of parameters, real-time, almost on a continuous basis. So if anything happens to the aircraft, there is an automatic trigger in the system which will alert the crew on the ground saying something's wrong is happening, and we download immediately hundreds of parameters continuously. So at the end of the day, if a problem arises, the black box and what we call the virtual black box are the same system. But for the time being, the system is directed towards maintenance and efficiency of the entire operation of the aircraft.
So if I understand right, there will be other possibilities, other options and features that you could add to the system, right?
Absolutely, and we are already adding them. In fact, after the crash of Air France 447 a couple of years ago, the investigation bureau from Europe was very much interested in finding a system which will automatically trigger the data download to the ground, instead of spending 2 years trying to find the orange box after the crash. So Star Navigation has worked with the European authorities demonstrating the system and how fast the system could download and how continuously and accurately the system download the data on the ground. So these past 2 years have been a validation of that future growth potential.
Tell me, how does the validation process work? Because you talked that you were working with the European authorities, but you guys, Star Navigation is a Canadian company. There's Transport Canada, which is there also.
Absolutely.
So how does it work? Is it like a platform where you go to and you're able to have the validation to market your product to all markets, or how does it work?
Almost that one, yes.
Okay.
In fact, you've got, in order to put something on board an aircraft, and I'm talking commercial aircraft, you have to have the authorization from a authority, which is either the FAA in the US, which is an overwhelming, in fact, authority around the world, or Transport Canada or the European agency, AESC. And these three organizations, which are the most powerful at the time, they've got specific agreements. So you can go to Transport Canada and you've got the validation from FAA as well. However, you have to be approved to be inserted on a given type of aircraft, whether it's a Boeing 737 or an Airbus A320. For every type of aircraft, you have to have the validation from Transport Canada. We are a Canadian company. Everything is done in Canada. We are working with Transport Canada to get the validation on each type of aircraft.
Okay, so it goes by each type of aircraft.
Absolutely.
And after you're able to have the pass for all of the markets. Okay, and you have a relationship with Astrium. So tell me, who's responsible for the financing? Is it Astrium who's financed you guys for the research and development? Because I know that when I was looking at your website, they were saying Astrium choose you because of your innovative capacity. So is Astrium behind you and financing you guys for the R&D?
The three companies actually are financing or funding their own research in their market segment, or the, I would say, elements. Star is the overall system and software. Luxell is the hardware platform. And Astrium is the communication link. And the ground station, the ground communication station, which will, after that, distribute all the information to the operators. So each one of us are funding their own parts in order to make the three parts working together.
And how does the coordination looks like? Because Astrium is a big player. You guys are medium to junior companies. How does the relation? Does Astrium look down on you guys, or like is it the relation of equals, I should say?
We have complementary skills. I would not say equals, because size-wise we are not, definitely. However, Astrium has got a fairly sizable share of the pie because they do the communications, they do the ground control and the ground system. They will be paid on communications use because they are in fact renting communication lines through the various satellites. And they are quite powerful. They will, in fact, be our marketeers for the systems toward the airlines, because the airline will want, by the end of the day, to have a one-stop shop type of approach, and they want to have a system on board the aircraft, but they want to have the communication, and they want to have the data on the ground being distributed rightly. So Astrium, because of its size and these capacities, is able to carry that solution to all the various airlines. On top of everything, Astrium is part of EADS Group, so it's quite well versed into the Airbus market as well as in the airline markets.
And what about the revenue portion of this partnership? Like, what's the allocation? As Astrium keeps 50%, you guys keep the remaining? How does it work?
The lion's share of the revenues, when it will be generated, will come back to Star Navigation as the owner of the idea and the IPs. So basically, Star Navigation will be paid for the system that they are on board the aircraft, each type of aircraft and each aircraft. They will be receiving portion of the communications, and they will be receiving as well portion of the data manipulation. Astrium then comes and will get the other portion of the communication and the other portion of the data communication. Small Luxell will get paid for the platform, the hardware platform they will provide.
So that's right. And what about the opportunities and the challenge that you find in a relationship with Astrium? And is it this type of relationship that you have with Astrium, is it the type of relationship that you look forward to build to continue to make Star Navigation grow?
Definitely. Star Navigation was and is still a small company. Luxell is a little bit bigger, but still a very small company. In order to gain your rank in the aerospace community, first of all, you have to prove what you have advertised, which we have done over the past 2 or 3 years, and specifically flight tested over the past 5 months. But you also have to have a big brother, basically, which is well known and which will carry your solution once it has been proven efficient and safe. So typically, yes, Astrium is the type of relationship we want to build on, because they've got the firepower, they've got the reputation, they've got the installed base at one point of time, and they can market the solution quite efficiently.
Have there been some challenges in this relationship?
Of course, when you are a small company dealing with a big one, specifically a very, very big one, you have to be quite careful about what you are saying. You are not to over-market or over-promise anything, because these guys are very serious and they tend to judge you on what you can deliver. Which was also explains why the system has been quite long in maturing, not only for regulation purpose, but also because we had to prove that we could buy our ticket on board an aircraft, basically. So now we've got a flight solution which has been flown tested for the past 5 or 6 months with Astrium, with a Canadian airline, namely, and we have demonstrated the system was working, that the entire chain of communication was working, and that it was valuable information distributed to the operators.
Excellent. I'll just open the question bar, so if there's anybody who would like to ask Mr. Larmor any question, feel free. Mr. Larmor is open to that. There's one question, Mr. Larmor, because one viewer in the French interview asked us, when will your company generate profits? Because he's a shareholder. He bought it at the beginning in 2011, around this area here, and now, well, you guys, there's market risk also. It's a long process for the technology to be validated. But how do you reassure investors that says, okay, I like your company, I like your story, but when you guys are going to make some money?
Correct. Star Navigation has not been generating a lot of revenue over the past 2, 3 years or 4 years. And I'm a shareholder too, Star Navigation, so I'm watching that very closely as well. I explained that anyhow, in the aerospace business, it's a very long cycle to develop, as well as to prove and then put to market. Thank God we've got Astrium, which will help us putting that to the market, and there are some very, very strong efforts right now being made with major airlines and major operators right now. When, in fact, are we going to generate revenue? Today, we are flying with 2 airlines on 2 different types of aircraft as a field proof, if you want. We've got very good prospects that these 2 airlines will transform into real revenues on their small fleets by the second half of this calendar year, and we have been so confident in demonstrating the system that we have proposed that to major airlines, and I'm talking about fleets by 100 or 150 aircraft, which is right now in the proposal stage. We plan to install the first one to get the confirmation the second part of this calendar year. And let's say that at the second part of this calendar year, we shall generate revenue. The first year, we intend to break even. And by breaking even, we count on 60 systems installed and operating on airlines. And after that, it will be profitable. So when I'm talking to the major airline, the first one, which is in line and in sight, is 140 aircraft, so it's beyond the 60.
Excellent. And there was a report that was published about the airline industry. They said that the prospect of the airline industry looks good. The economy, well, it's growing, but at a modest rate. So what do you think? Do you think you guys will be able to benefit from the airlines industry's boom that's coming ahead?
Yes, absolutely.
And how?
Absolutely. The overall trend in the airline industry, anyhow, irrespective of the various crises, which have been always 1 or 2 years, the general trend is growth. So it's modest growth. It's not 10%, but it's 1.5, 2% per year. So people are traveling. People are using commercial aircraft. There is a consolidation in this industry as well. But anyhow, they got a lot of inventory aircraft, we call old aircraft, which are not that old, but inventory aircraft that they can equip, and there will be new aircraft coming in production and being already ordered, either at Boeing, Airbus, or Bombardier, for that matter. So yes, we are going to benefit from that, and this system can help the operator, that is to say the airline, to be more efficient in fuel consumption, which is one of the biggest cost elements of an airline. Also monitor the trends on the engine, which is a second very costly element for the airlines. So basically, by saving time and making the data more accurate, the operators will save money.
Talking about consolidation, because that's something you just mentioned, how does the EADS, which is also Astrium is a subsidiary of EADS, and AB System, the merger failed. What's your take on this? Does you think it might impact a company like yours, because less a big player, maybe less a potential for revenues or?
No, the EADS plus BAE would have been a tremendous mammoth in Europe, specifically based in Europe. However, the fact that it's failed, BAE is more, I'm just being very, very schematic there, but BAE is much more on the defense side, and EADS is much more on the commercial aircraft side through Airbus, of course. So the fact that it didn't merge does not impact the commercial airline business in which, or segment in which we are today. So it's quite separate from what we are doing.
Okay. And is your technology will be able to be applied to the defense system?
Absolutely. Same technology applies today. The same computer which exists on commercial airplanes are going to the military, and almost vice versa. Of course, not the radar, for instance, or the weapon systems, but it's exactly the same technology. And you've got exactly the same requirement now for defense, specifically for military transport aircraft. They have to be efficient, they have to save money, and this system can help them save fuel, save money, save time on maintenance, which basically is the same common type of requests from the two operators.
Excellent. Two questions to finish this interview, Mr. Larmor. Well, actually, one question. An investor is looking at this interview right now, is looking at your story, but is still skeptical. What are two reasons you will give him to say, you know what, Star Navigation System, it's an investment you should definitely watch?
Right.
What are two reasons you would give him?
The first reason is we have spent the past 2 years validating the entire chain of communication. We have built the strategic alliance with Astrium. Astrium has spent the last year investing in the ground control station and ground communication station. All these three elements are working together absolutely nicely. The past 5 months, we have demonstrated that with an airline here in Canada and with another airline. So basically, all the validations have been made, all the certifications have been obtained, and now we are demonstrating to the operators, okay, these are the data flow that you can receive, and these are the return on invest from your airline perspective that you can expect. So yes, it has been a long time, but we've done everything we could, and we had to, and we are now certified on the Boeing aircraft. We are going to be certified on the Airbus type of aircraft, and very, very soon, I would say by the mid of this year, specifically during Paris Air Show, there should be very interesting news coming out.
Excellent, excellent. So, Mr. Larmor, thank you for coming by, and for the follow-up after the Paris Show, we look forward to have you back.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thanks
Pleasure.
a lot, Mr. Larmor.
Thank you, bye.
Bye. C'est la photo.